Hi babes. Well, California is ablaze, so I decided I'm just going to do a quick little video and talk about leaning back and what it looks like when you are leaned back, connected to your authentic feminine energy. So the point of leaning back is it's what inspires a man to pursue, to lead, and to establish connection with you. And leaning back is also really important because as a woman who desires to carry the feminine polarity, you want to be approaching dating from your feminine energy, leaned back, because you are also assessing, does this man have enough masculine energy to sustain polarity with me as a feminine essence being? Because if you end up going into your masculine energy and taking initiative and leaning forward, well, you're either going to push away a healthy masculine energy man, or you're only going to attract a man who is more feminine energy dominant, or a man who has more wounded masculine energy. And the wounded masculine is really interesting because it's going to show up as the kind of man who hesitates to plan a date, to reach out. He has this energy of just being a little timid and unsure of himself. And underneath the wounded masculine is often he did not have a father who modeled healthy masculine energy for him, or he has an unhealed, unprocessed abandonment wound, likely from his mother, oftentimes from the mother. And so there's a deep distrust of the feminine energy, that his advances won't be received, that he'll be rejected, right? Because he's still coming from this unconscious story that I will be rejected, right? And so that can trigger our own wounded feminine energy, and either we get mad at a man who's not pursuing rather than just see that that's not aligned, or it can put us into our masculine pursuing him and trying to make things work. So when you're not leaning back, you will be leaning forward. So let's look at what leaning forward looks like, so you know what you don't want to be doing. So leaning forward will look like initiating most of the time, leading and directing the flow of the conversation, going into performing tactics with men to try to get him to like you. So a lot of women can, once you start to learn feminine energy and feminine communication, she starts communicating in this way where it's like she's trying to get the man to like her, or to get him to feel her feminine energy. And that is not authentic feminine. Feminine energy is really the freedom to be your most authentic self and to inspire warmth and connection. And when a man feels that you're coming from this agenda-driven energy, even subtly trying to use your feminine to get him to like you or to build connection, he's gonna feel it, and he's gonna feel that there's something off, that it doesn't really feel authentic, and that he's gonna sense your masculine energy, that you are the one pursuing him. And there also are covert ways where we can be leaning forward, which look like, trying to go to the same coffee shop that he goes to, the same place where he goes to lunch, and like casually run into him, or posting, this is a very common one, posting something on social media where it's like an indirect message that you're sending to him. And the thing is we are so connected on a subconscious level that, I've talked to women who like realize they're doing this. She sends a message to him subconsciously, and then he sends a message to her, and there's this like subtle communication that's going on covertly. And if you're doing this, you're in pursuing energy. You're trying to get his attention. You're trying to build connection, and it's going to push away a masculine energy man. Or the other covert ways, like the subtle way we can reach out to ask him a question when it's not really anything pressing, or we could have asked somebody else, but we're trying to establish connection, establish connection. And so when you are not leaning forward, you are leaning back, but it's not just about the inaction you're taking. It is about when you're really connected to your feminine energy, you are leaning back into your own heart. You are leaning back into your own emotional world. So if a man's not texting as frequently as you want, and you have a lot of anxiety coming up, you have a lot of feelings of neediness, you have a lot of obsessive thinking about him coming up, this is the part of yourself that you want to be present to, that you want to really come home to in your own heart. And otherwise, we are in a self-abandoned state, and we're seeking the man to try to meet our unmet emotional world. And so the neediness, is an aspect of the shadow feminine. And it's often coming from our unhealed inner child. And that's why the degree to which you are able to be in your embodied feminine energy is the degree to which you've done your inner work, and that you can meet these unhealed parts within yourself and be fully connected to your heart, so that we're not showing up in this energy of leaning forward and pursuing a man, even on an unconscious level. So leaning forward energetically can look like obsessively thinking about him, hyper focus on him, trying to figure out what he's doing, obsessively thinking about where the relationship is going and how is it unfolding, and kind of in a lot of analyzing and over analyzing your own text and over analyzing his text, and just a lot of hyper focus on the man and on the relationship, rather than choosing to stay intimate with yourself. And when you're not choosing to stay intimate with yourself, which is really you being in your authentic feminine, then we're trying to force intimacy with him, and it ends up pushing away quality masculine man, or we only attract a man with more wounded masculine energy, which is not going to work for the long term with a feminine essence woman. And the thing is so if you are leaning back only in your actions and you're not leaning back in your energy, then you have to assume the reality, which is that men can feel your energy, and men can feel the energy behind your actions. So even if you're leaned back in your actions, but energetically you're in this self-abandoned state, obsessing about him, trying to get it to work out, this hyper-focused energy on him, even though he's not going to be able to pinpoint what's wrong or what's going on, he's going to feel something feels off. And so the other thing to clarify before I close out here is that leaning back does not look like being closed off and kind of playing a game, like women sometimes before she's actually done her real inner work, she'll lean back too much, and then men will often say, well, I didn't think you're interested. And that's because she's overcorrecting. So usually she came from an energy of neediness, and then she goes all the way to the other extreme and she shows no interest. And so when you're really connected to your feminine energy, you are connected to your heart, you are connected to your inner world. And what that means is that, yes, of course you can, some of the time you will initiate, it's going to be based on you really feeling into your heart, what feels right. And initiating some of the time will allow a man to know that you're interested and shows your own confidence. But if we're leaning forward is really going to come from your own energy. You're going to know you're leaning forward because energetically you are obsessing about him, you're worried about the relationship. And so whenever we feel all this anxiety coming up and then we're reaching out to a man, what's going on is we're trying to get the man to meet our unmet emotional world. And a man is going to feel that from you. Versus when you've met your own emotional world, when you have the feminine energy tools to be connected to yourself, then a man feels that he actually has the space to come forward and pursue. Because without this space, the masculine energy can't come forward, right? He's going to feel suffocated and overwhelmed and eventually pull away to create space. So that is kind of the short summary of leaning back and what that looks like. If you're interested in learning more about your feminine energy, I do recommend checking out my free training at the link in my bio. If you're interested in discovering more about how you can work with me, go to the free training as well. Follow the links and you can book a free discovery call. Have a beautiful day, and I look forward to connecting with you.